الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا والشفيع نفوسنا سيد المرسلين خاتم النبيين النبي الأمي المكي والمدني الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بين الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين المظلومين المنتجبين المنتخبين الذين أذهب اللهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على وصي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم أبي الحسنين مولى القونين إمام الثقلين يأسوب الدين سيد المتقين رأس المحسنين سلطان الأولياء أول المسلمين قاتل المشرقين صراط المستقيم أمير المؤمنين أسد الله الغالب غالب كل غالب مظهر العجائب علي بن أبي طالب.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك خصوصا سنمي قريش. الحمد لله الذي لا يحتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد سائله ولا يخيب آمله. أما بعد، فيقول الله في كتاب الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Please recite the salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I had the honor and pleasure to recite in front of you the verses of the Holy Quran by the name of the chapter of time, Surah Asr. And you find over these last 2 nights we have looked to analyze this chapter within the Holy Quran and looked at its very different meanings from the words that exist within this chapter, and delved into many of the areas of knowledge that this chapter presents to us. And we have done this through focusing on the words themselves, or looking at the tafasir that we have, namely Burhan, Nur al-Thaqalain, and indeed the many works of Shaykh Saduq. And also we have looked at the ahadith of the holy progeny to help us understand this chapter of the Holy Quran. And you find that when you combine the translation with the tafsir, the surah can be translated as follows: that I swear by the time when the final Imam will return, wal Asr, and the enemies of the final Imam will surely be at a loss, and those who believe in the signs of Ali Muhammad and do good deeds, and they enjoin in the Valaya of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the belief of the holy household, and those who are patient upon the atrocities that will happen to them because of their belief in the holy 5 and the 12 Imam, and indeed Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Farajahu Sharif. So you find that that would be the translation of Surah Asr alongside with the tafsir that we have within this religion. And you can see that this surah is predominantly for us to realize that we are in wait for the final Imam. And we discussed over these last few nights the importance of believing in ghaib, the importance in believing in the unseen. And the unseen is very important, because without belief in the unseen, then we have no belief at all. As in, I mentioned to you yesterday, I gave you some examples that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unseen, but yet you believe in Him. Shaitan is within the unseen, yet you believe in him. And believe him in the sense that you actually believe he's existing, not actually believe within him, hopefully. And if you do, then you should probably see a psychologist. So you find that Shaitan is another individual, and you find you also believe in the ghaibah of Prophet Isa alayhi salam and many of the other prophets. But you find that even Prophet Moses was in his own ghaibah. Our final prophet, the prophet of this religion, he was also within his own ghaibah. Then you find that we have many ahadith that say that the Imam is in amongst you. That when you go to the Hajj, you see the Imam is there in front of you. That even some scholars believe that within the majalis of Abu Abdullah and the gatherings of Ali Muhammad, the Imam is also present there. And you find if the Imam is present, then why can we not see him? I guess it goes back to Alif Lam Mim ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Maybe that we are not on the level of muttaqeen. Maybe. Or maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a barrier between us and him because we're not ready. But you find the evidence of this is everywhere within the histories of the prophets. As in Prophet Moses, when he was born, he was a prophet. That is the belief of our school, that a prophet is a prophet always. So you find that if we believe such a thing, then Prophet Moses is a prophet since birth. And yet, nobody knew that he was a prophet when he was living in the house of Fir'aun. That if we believe that Prophet Moses is a prophet from birth, and the miracle of his birth is evident, and we all have heard it so many times. And you find out what happened when they put him in the box, and he went into the river, and then he went towards the house of Fir'aun. And a prophet was raised by the one who said, Ana Rabbukumul A'la. Raised by a person who said, I am God, Most High. That he is the one lived in his house. Yes, Asiyah bint Muzayim was the main individual who took care of the Prophet. But you find he lived in his house. and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him rizq and nourishment within the house of the biggest enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that time. But nobody knew he was a prophet. But he existed in amongst the people, in amongst the Israelites, in amongst the Egyptians, in amongst the house of the enemy of God. And you find that nobody knew. Likewise with our final prophet, you find after so long, after 40 years according to history, is when he declared his prophethood. After 40 years he declared it. Yet he was a prophet from birth. But nobody knew that he was a prophet. Nobody knew. He used to eat with the people. He used to walk with the people. He used to converse with the people. He used to help the people. He used to be in amongst the community of the Arabs as a prophet, but nobody knew that he was a prophet. Nobody knew that he was a prophet. So you find that when someone says to you that, brother, I don't understand how can someone be in amongst a community and be an imam or be a prophet, well then you look at the examples of previous prophets and you'll understand it's very simple. If you have no recognition of a personality, whether they're a prophet, an imam, or whoever they are, it doesn't mean anything. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say someone walked in right now in this room. And let's say, for example, he's a massive sports star. Only those people who will have information, knowledge of that particular sport will recognize him as a big person. Every other person in this room is just another guy. It's the same. Because we don't have understanding, we don't have that ma'rifah, and Allah has veiled the imam from us for whatever reasons that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His infinite wisdom, you find that that is why we cannot recognize the imam. And the perfect example is the life of Prophet Moses and the life of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So you find that when we talk about the ghaib, it's something we have to believe in. Now, a question that we get asked all the time, and is answered all the time as well, is the question of how do we prepare for the imam? It's like, the number one question of society. How do we prepare for the imam? Do we make massive buildings? Do we create massive governments? Do we, for example, anything, whatever comes to your brain, you pick an example. How do we prepare for the imam? This is the big question. Everyone wants to ask this question. And I don't need to answer this question because people already asked this question of the imams. And that's why you find Imam Sadiq, salawatullah salamu alayhi, and he says that stick to the earth, be patient in your trials, do not move your hands and do not move your swords. For you cannot make haste in the matters of Allah that is decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I urge my followers to keep quiet and adopt solitude. To adopt solitude, to be alone. See, when you look at the advice given to the imams, to his companions, when it comes to preparing for the imam, it is solely based around you. You, as a person. The reality is, everyone here tonight believes that the imams have power over all of creation. That they have something called haqq al-ata'. Right? They have power over all creation. That if they said to the land that bring forth all your gems and gold, the land has to abide by what the imams have said. That if Amir al-Mu'mineen needs to bring some water from the ground for his army, then he's done that. So many ahadith have proven that. that the land and the makhluk must listen to the one they call Abu Turab. That the Turab has to listen to Abu Turab. So you find that all of the powers that the prophets and the imams have, they go all the way to the last imam. So when people say to you that I'm building fulan thing, I'm doing fulan thing, I'm doing fulan thing for the imam, imam doesn't need you. Imam doesn't need your money. Imam doesn't need your gems. Imam doesn't need your businesses. Imam doesn't need anything that you can possibly provide him. There is nothing that you can provide the final imam of material wealth. What the imam needs is true followers of him. People who will live and die for him. That they will eat, walk and sleep for him. And the only way to do that is to be in solitude. To fix your nafs. To fix your soul. Let go of the attachments of the world and become attached to Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawatullah sallallahu. For the Imam has said that people must be refined, distinguished and examined. A sifting process proves a great number of people being useless. Now you find that someone came to the Imam and said, Imam, when is it the time that it will be your reappearance? You know what the Imam said? He said, have you seen a baker? Have you seen a baker? He says, I've seen the baker. He says, have you seen the baker bake bread? He says, I see the baker baking bread. He says, you know when the baker bakes his bread and takes out the loaf? He says, I see this. He says, you see those little crumbs that are left when the bread is completely gone? He goes, the reappearance will come when those crumbs are the only ones left. That this whole process, like in the time of Prophet Saleh, like in the time of Prophet Nuh, the example we gave to you yesterday, you are currently in a process of elimination. That once you say that you believed, you think you will not be tested. And Surah Asr says what? Enjoin in the haqq, and enjoin in patience. You are currently in a time where patience is the key. If you try to rush the matter, that Allah is the one who decrees for, then you will only be at a loss for yourself. Surah Asr says be patient. And the Imams also say be patient. And one day you find that the Imam was going towards Hajj. And one of his companions was also going towards Hajj. And one of his companions looked sorrowful. And when his companion looked sorrowful, Imam Sadiq salawatullah salamu alayhi, the Imam said to him, why are you so sorrowful? Why are you so sorrowful? Why are you so upset? He says, I see, the power and the rights that belong to you in other people's hands. And this reply, it sums up everything. The Imam responds to him, he says, Mufaddal, you should be happy. You should be happy that the situation is such. Because there are many blessings upon our Shia. What are the blessings? The Imam turns around and says to him, he said, if we were in power right now, our Shia would be the ones that during the night they wouldn't sleep because I would tell them to guard people. And during the day they would be marching, fulfilling the Imam's orders. And when they would be given food, they would be given tasteless food. And when they would be given clothes, they would be given heavy clothes. Because if you're marching and you're a soldier, then you have to wear heavy armory, so you have heavy clothes. And you find, the Imam says, he said, you should be happy about the blessings that you have. That the time of our dominance is not now, is later. But it goes to show you that, are you ready for that? You know, there's some people here tonight, 9th of Muharram, they won't stay awake the whole night. Oh, too tired, can't be bothered. The Imam is telling you here that nights will be days and days will be nights for our Shia. That will not be easy. And if you were to disobey, see, the thing is, look, you may be a security guard, right? And those of you who worked night shifts, for example, maybe in biomedical factories, or maybe other forensic companies, you work night shifts. You know, sometimes you get some chance to doze off a little bit. But if the Imam has told you to stay awake the whole night, to guard someone, and you fall asleep, what have you done? You have disobeyed the Imam. And disobedience to the Imam is what? So think about it. That in your normal day-to-day lives, what is your situation? Will you be able to perform for the Imam? Will you be able to do day and night and night and day? You have to really think about this. Everyone says, oh, we can't wait for the Imam to return. After Matam, after the Azadari, we have the Dua of Faraj. After prayers, we have Dua of Faraj. Do we understand that the words that are coming out of our mouth? We complain about every little thing going wrong in the Imam Bargah. Food's not right, people are not right, this is not right, that's not right. And what about if the Imam tells you, say, listen, day is night for you, night is day, you can't sleep for a week, what are you going to do? Will you be able to give that? Is that something in your capacity? It's not easy being a follower of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Then I can tell you a story. There was an ulama. He says, I was one of the big ulama of the time. And, I thought to myself, it can't be that hard being a part of the 72 followers of Abu Abdullah. Story within our books. So it can't be that hard. So he says, after saying that, I went to sleep. And he goes, I saw in a dream that the Holy Imam was leading the Salah. And I was one of the guys who was protecting the Imam. And as you know, those guys who protected the Imam, by the time the end of it, they were like porcupines. They had so many arrows within them. And he narrates, he says, and remember this is one of the grand scholars of the time. He says that in the dream, when I saw the arrow coming, I moved out of the way. And it struck Abu Abdullah, the arrow. Brothers, sisters, respected elders, I would like to give you some fruit for the thinking. That, what would you have done on that day? Would you have run? That when those lights went out, it's easy. We come here, we've got, air conditioning, we've got fans, we've got water, got food, we've got everything. When those lights went out and not one of those people moved, ask yourself what we would have done on that day. Would we have run? Because if it is a case that in our lifetimes, how many times have we made the decision between doing Amal Saleh and doing a sin? Or doing Amal Saleh and doing a Mubah act? How many times have we made this decision? You think to yourself, it doesn't matter, it's just one decision. It's okay. Yeah, but that one decision becomes a habit. And that habit becomes a problem. And that problem becomes your mentality. And that mentality becomes your personality. And next thing you know, that's it. So you have to ask yourself this question, because this is what the Imams are saying to you. That have you focused on yourself? Because no amount of money, no amount of businesses, no amount of anything is of use to them. It's not a marriage proposal. They don't need anything from you. What they need is your loyalty. And even in the time of the minor occultation, you find there's one of the deputies was called Hussein ibn Rawh. And people at that time, they were thinking that there was this Shia scholar of that time that he's a big Shia scholar, he delivers lectures, he's a good man, this and that. And he's one of the most pious amongst. Everyone thought he was going to be that guy. But it wasn't. It was Hussein ibn Rawh. So they said, why did you pick this individual over that individual? Do you know what the response was? Because Hussein ibn Rawh, this is exactly what it says in the hadith, that if the Imam was hidden in his abba, he would have been cut into 1,000 pieces before he even said that the Imam's in my abba. That is the loyalty and the level of loyalty, the level of secrecy that's required. And brothers and sisters, you'll hear one secret from one mu'min and he'll go spread in the whole community like wildfire. It won't even take him. You know, they say that he can't even hold it in his stomach for 5 seconds. Imagine how many people there would be, if they saw the Imam, everyone telling everyone, yeah, I saw the Imam, he's over there. He's over there. Do you know how many people are after the holy personality? Even till today they're after him. How many of us can keep a secret? How many of us can be patient? How many of us can only speak when it is a time to speak? You get some individuals, it's not the time to speak, and he's shouting and speaking, I have to say the truth, I have to say the truth. Patience. Surah Asr says patience. Have patience. Even with the haqq, you have to have patience. You have to wait for your opportune moment to speak the truth. Not just blurt it out. If you can't hold on to your secrets in your daily life, how do you expect to hold the secrets of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Ali Muhammad salawatullah And you find that Imam Sadiq salawatullah alayhi, he says that if you claim to be our followers, then do not let your actions and your deeds be a means of reproach about us. That if you do whatever deeds you do not let it reflect on us badly. Just as a child or a young adult ruins the image of his father. Now how many of us at 20, 15, 30, 40, even 50, our fathers are still alive at 50. And all that person is a means of reproach for his father. The Imam says here, do not be of those Shia that people will point fingers and say, look at that guy. He says he's follower of Imam Mahdi. And look at what he's doing. Going around Newport blasting music like there's no tomorrow. Going around Newport acting like a weirdo. Yeah, as you lot say, right? Weirdo. Acting like a strange person. Attention seeker. All of these various things. And you find, like I said to you, the Imams, what they want from you, the A'immah, what they want from you is for you to be a good human being, to be a good follower, a person who respects them, a person who helps them, a person who is a positive reflection of the words that they have presented to you within the holy works that we have. And are we those things? Because people may come and disagree, right, with me, but you can't disagree with the Quran and you can't disagree with the Ahadith. And there are many people who came towards the Imam, say, Imam, we have 10,000 people ready for you, let's take over the Khilafah. We're 10,000 people ready. Are you ready? Let's take them over. He said, I'm not interested in your 10,000 people. I want to see what sort of character do you have. You see that furnace over there? Go jump in the furnace. Imam, what do you mean go jump in the furnace? What are you talking about? Go jump in the furnace. So you're not going to jump in? Imam sees one of his companions is coming and says, listen, you come here. Go into the furnace. So this guy is looking at the other guy thinking, what's going on here? Jump into the furnace. Furnace is on, by the way, it's not off. Furnace is on. Imam, yes Imam, straight to the furnace. Close the door behind you. Imam carries on talking to the two guys like, nothing's happened. How's family? You okay? Inshallah, all is well. Would you like something to eat? These two are looking at each other thinking, guy's burning alive in the furnace. What's going on here? The Imam says to him, come back out. Comes back out. Not even a black mark on him. And the Imam says, this is the type of followers that we need. You're saying there's 10,000 people. 10,000 people. Battle of Siffin, how many thousands were there? Battle of Siffin, how many thousands were there? Where are they? They're the ones who came and grabbed the Amir al-Mu'minin and said, listen, if you don't stop the fight, we're going to attack you. The second Imam, how many followers did he have when he went to fight Muawiyah? Thousands. Thousands. His commanders, here's 4,000 gold coins from Muawiyah. Imam, ma'asalam, goodbye. Good luck to you. And then because of that, Imam, the second Imam, got a knife in his thigh as well because of that. These are the type of followers that we're talking about. But we are not to be those followers. We need to be those followers. And this is the last night of the last, majlis. So I might as well give you something to go away and to ponder on. You find that this is the last night. And these are the words of your Imam. Now what type of follower do you want to be? End of the day, look, I'm not here to criticize anyone, End of the day, some people within their kismet, they have the majlis of Abu Abdullah. Some people have the kismet, they come here and they do listen to the majlis. Right? Whether it's English or Urdu, doesn't matter. Some people have the kismet to be the azadar of Abu Abdullah. They can't make it for the majlis, they come for the azadari. Right? And some people don't have that, either or. But they come and they eat the niyaz of Imam Hussein. Even that is a blessing. People criticize everyone, why did you come late? This, that, what not? Brother, listen, if he's come just for the niyaz, inshallah that niyaz will be a cause for him to come to the matam. Then one day, inshallah, as he beats his chest, hopefully it beats him so much that it knocks some sense into him, then he'll come to the majlis of Imam Hussein. And then when he comes to the majlis, hopefully the person who's speaking will actually say something of value and give him some information so that he keeps coming back to the majlis. And then eventually, inshallah, he'll come to the Quran, he'll come to the Hadith, he'll come to the door of Ali Muhammad in its entirety. Everyone is on their own level here tonight. I'm on my level, you're on your level, little kids are on their level, everyone's on their own level, the elders are on their own level. But it's not about what level you are on, it's about moving forward. Even if it means that every month, every year you do a little bit more, then that is a beautiful thing. And that is the message that I want to give here tonight. That we've talked about so many different topics here, over the last 9 days, 10 days. We've spoken about Noor, we've spoken about everyone's favorite topic, 3 in 1 and 1 in 3. Right, we've spoken about all of these different topics. We've talked about ilm al-ghayb, we talked about sabr, we've talked about haqq, we've talked about noor. We've talked about so many different topics. We've mentioned over 80 verses of the Holy Quran to you over these last 9-10 nights. But you find that whatever level you're on, try to be better. Try to push yourself to that next level. Because what the Imams want from you is not your money, not your clothes, not your swagger, not your Instagram accounts, right? Not your fancy cars, not your lavish foods. What the Imams want from you is loyalty. That if you come here and shed a tear for Abu al-Fadl Abbas, then even if you were to give 1% of loyalty like Abu al-Fadl Abbas did, then imagine how far that would go. And indeed, you find all of the companions of Abu Abdullah provided a lot of loyalty to the Holy Imam. But you find that Abu Abdullah's son, Ali al-Akbar, who we've come here to remember tonight, provided loyalty to Abu Abdullah like no one else. And we talk about the loyalty of Abu al-Fadl Abbas. And you find that during the many conversations that the camp of Abu Abdullah had with the enemies, you find one of the many conversations was with Ali al-Akbar and Ibn al-Jawshan. You find that they had that conversation, and he said to Ali al-Akbar, he said, listen, your mother is related to the Khalifa, Layla. Your mother is related, and you're related to us. Leave your father, we will provide you with gold, we will provide you with whatever you want. Leave. And he said, how can I leave the house of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad? Salawatullah. How can I leave my holy Imam? How can I leave my father? How can I leave these individuals? It's impossible for me to leave. But we're giving you all the gold and all the money and all the things in the world. Why do you not have it? Because none of those things are more worth the sweet nectar of the pool of Kawthar. Nothing is more important than being with my father. And you find that the companions have gone and only the holy household are left and those who are related to Abu Abdullah. And you find eventually a time comes where Hazrat Ali Akbar wants to go to the battlefield. And when he wants to go to the battlefield, you find that Abu Abdullah is very difficult for him to send him. But Hazrat Ali Akbar comes to Abu Abdullah and he says, "Oh father, allow me to go to the battlefield." He says, Ali al-Akbar, how can I let you go? You remind me of my grandfather. You are the Shabi of Rasulullah. You are the resemblance of my grandfather. How can I let you go to the battlefield? He says, please, father, allow me to go. So, Ali al-Akbar gets upon his horse. His father helps him. And he begins to take his horse towards the battlefield. And Abu Abdullah says, "Oh Ali al-Akbar, come back." So Ali al-Akbar looks back and he comes back. He says, "Father, why do you follow me?" He says, "Father, why do you follow me? Why do you keep telling me to come back?" He goes, "Ali al-Akbar, you do not know of the sorrow of a father who sees his young son, especially that son that looks like his grandfather." And you find that Ali al-Akbar goes towards the battlefield, and when he goes, the ulama narrate to us that they say that when everyone else went to the battlefield, Abu Abdullah was standing and watching with Abu al-Fadl Abbas. But when Ali al-Akbar went, Abu Abdullah would sometimes stand, he would sometimes sit, he would sometimes stand, he would sometimes sit. And you find that Ali al-Akbar battled valiantly, so valiantly that they say that even when he was surrounded, he was finishing the people off. Even when he was surrounded, he was finishing the people off. He would attack them from the left and they attack him from the right. And the Markazeh literature say that the first round he went, he killed 120 people. Imagine 3 days of hunger, 3 days of thirst, and yet he fights like a ferocious lion. He fights like Haydar. And you find eventually he gets tired and he returns back to his father. And he comes upon his horse and he gets off his horse and he says, "Oh my father, Abu Abdullah, Ya Abi Akbar, what can I do? I've got no water for you. Oh, Ali Akbar, your father has been carrying the bodies all day back and forth in the burning heat of Karbala. Oh Father, have you got something for me? Abu Abdullah gives the ring to Ali Akbar. He says, put this in your mouth. And then he checks and he says, oh Father, your tongue is drier than mine. Oh Abu Abdullah, your tongue is drier than mine. Ali Akbar says Alvida to his mother Layla. He says Alvida to Lady Zainab. And then he says Alvida to his sister Sakina. He says Alvida and he says I bid you farewell. He goes towards the battlefield and the ulama narrate that he killed 200 people in total. But eventually he was attacked, and when he was struck, he fell on top of his horse. And when he fell on his horse, the horse moved towards the enemies. And they struck him with arrows, and struck him with spears, and struck him with the swords. Eventually he fell to the ground, and when he fell to the ground, he said, Assalamu alayka ya Abi Abdullah. You find Imam Hussain came towards Ali al-Akbar. When he came towards Ali al-Akbar, all the army began to run away, and he came towards his son. Ali al-Akbar was on the ground, and when he was on the ground, Abu Abdullah began to cry and say that my son called me and I could not help him. And he was in his final moments, and Ali al-Akbar had his hand upon his chest. You know where I'm going with this. And he had his hand on his chest and said, oh Father, please do not remove my hand. Abu Abdullah removed the hand, and he saw that a broken spear was in the chest of Ali al-Akbar. So he tried to help Ali al-Akbar to remove the spear that was in his chest. And then the poets narrate, they say that Abu Abdullah faced towards Najaf and said, Amir al-Mu'mineen, my father, when you were there in Khaybar, you picked up the gate that weighed 1,000 tons. Look at your son, Abu Abdullah. He has to take the spear out of the chest of Ali al-Akbar. Surely this weighs more than the gate of Khaybar. And you find when his body was on the ground, he had passed away out to Hazrat Ali Akbar released. Your father was there, he carried your body back. You carried your body back. You find on the 10th of Muharram, Abu Abdullah's body is on the ground. No one is there to carry the body of Abu Abdullah is burning on the ground. And then the Maleen, they come and they loot the body of Abu Abdullah. And then before they run the horses over the body, you find Sayyidah Sakina comes to the body of Abu Abdullah. She falls on the body of Abu Abdullah and begins to cry. And lady says, how did you recognize that this is your father? And she says, I knew it was my father because I could smell the fragrance from the body. That same Sakina that they will slap and the blood will come from the cheeks of Sakina. That same Sakina, they on fire, I will be rolling in the ground.